Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, let's see if we can share the screen here. And we are June 11th in Asia today. Our first topic is the last part of the stages of unfoldment in Saiva Siddhanta. Finish it up today. The next section is entitled Jnana Pada. And Jnana Pada is the stage of wisdom, the last of the four successive padas. Spiritual unfoldment, that is also called the marga, or true path. God is our dearest beloved, implying transcendence of individuality and merger with the divine. The patavi is sayujya, union with God. And we have the four subdivisions of the Jnana Pada. And we're going to do something differently here. Two versions of the subdivisions will be presented. The first is the one most frequently encountered in modern literature, and the second will be Gurudeva's approach. And I haven't done this for the other three padas because they're not that different. There's some difference, but not major difference. Here, there's a major difference, which you'll all be able to grasp quite easily. So, Jnana Pada, Charya Jnana. So this is the version that's not Gurudeva. Listening to the instructions related to the Jnana Shastras given by the Guru. Sanskrit, this is called Shravanam. Kriya Jnana, reflecting deeply over the instructions received from the Guru, known in Sanskrit as Mananam. Yoga Jnana, to be with settled conclusions resulting from Mananam, Nididhyasanam. And Jnana, to be in perfect state of absorption, samadhi, based on those conclusions. So this approach to the Jnana Pada is identical to the Vedanta practice of Jnana Yoga. It's almost the same thing. The path of knowledge. None of this is in the Tirumandhiram's verses on jnana, and I am not knowledgeable in when it came to be thought of as the Jnana Pada. But basically, wherever this came from, individuals took Jnana Yoga and superimposed it on the Jnana Pada for some reason. It involves philosophical study. I remember, so it's a good story. We started early, so we have time for stories. The visit of the late Swami Dayananda Saraswati, a great teacher, certainly. And his path, of course, is Jnana Yoga, and his philosophy is Advaita of Adi Shankara. So what was his advice to us? You must learn Sanskrit. Nothing about meditation. You must learn Sanskrit, because that's the basis for Jnana Yoga. You need to be able to study the Upanishads and a few other scriptures in the original Sanskrit and understand the commentaries, etc. So we have discrimination between the real versus the unreal. That's Jnana Yoga. So the word jnana is described from the verbal root jna, which simply means knowing, it has a higher philosophical connotation. It's not only intellectual knowledge, but also intuitive experience. It starts with the former and ends with the latter. Then we get our 3 steps again: Jnana Yoga, Shravana, listening to scripture; Manana, thinking and reflecting; Nididhyasana, constant and profound meditation. And of course, as I mentioned, it involves Upanishads, and we have statements from the Upanishads, 4 great sayings, Mahavakya or Mahavakyam. Just giving the English here. Consciousness is Brahman, that thou art. The self is Brahman. I am Brahman. So that's this popular description of the Jnana Pada. Now we have the description of Jnana Pada based on Gurudeva's teachings. In them, scriptural study is not even part of the Jnana Pada. It is part of the niyamas, and in the Kriya Pada, as was previously mentioned. So it's one of the niyamas, yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama, and as such is part of the Kriya Pada. Yamas are in the Charya Pada, niyamas are in the Kriya Pada. So it's way back there in the Kriya Pada, scriptural study. So this is almost the same as the 4 sub-padas of yoga, with one difference. Charya and jnana consists of cleaning the meditation room or portion of a room, and the collection of all the necessary substances for worshipping one's guru and deities relating to meditation. Kriya and jnana consists of offering a prayer, a chant, or a short puja to one's guru and the guru's lineage after beseeching the grace of any deities your guru has asked you to worship prior to meditation. Yoga and jnana consists of asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and savikalpa, samadhi, which leads to experiencing nirvikalpa samadhi, Shiva. And jnana is the experiential knowledge gained by these practices, Anubhava Unarchi. So that's the approach. It's basically the same as the Yoga Pada, but we're going deeper. We're going into nirvikalpa samadhi, which is the experience of Parashiva. That's the focus, the Shivoham. Wonderful quote from Yogaswami to illustrate, I am with you and you are with me. There is no distance between us. I am you, you are I. What is there to fear? Look, I exist as you. Then what must you do? You must love. Whom? Everyone. To speak more clearly, your very nature is love. Not only you, but all are pervaded by love. But there is no all, for you alone exist. All are you. So that's jnana for sure. And Tirumandhiram, 1469, those who follow the path of jnana would declare, the world seen within, the eminent blissful state which is very close to achieve, and the grace gained by us. All such experiences have been brought into effect by knowledge and a significant contemplation as to I am Shiva, Shivoham Bhavana. Such jnanans would surely attain oneness with Shiva, the knowable, at a later stage. And then we get Gurudeva's bold statements. One does not become a jnani simply by reading philosophy. That is a great misconception. Many people believe that you can spiritually unfold or evolve into a jnani through reading books, through understanding another's unfoldment, or performing meditations that he once performed. Understanding another person's wisdom does not make us wise. Each has to experience the fullness of the path to enlightenment himself. Jnana is divine wisdom emanating from an enlightened being, a soul in its maturity immersed in Shivaness, the blessed realization of God while living out earthly karma. Jnana is the fruition of yoga tapas. Each time he enters that unspeakable nirvikalpa samadhi, he returns to consciousness more and more the knower. Unknown to himself, he has become the temple of his religion, capable of imparting knowledge merely by the power of his silent presence. He has become the source of light and darshan which radiate out through the nadis and pranas of his being. This great soul is found in his reverie, sweeping the temple floor, polishing brass lamps, weaving fragrant garlands, expounding smriti, and being the humble Shivanadiyar, slave to the servants of the Lord, as he lives out the final strands of karma of this last birth. And our review of Jnana Pada is the stage of wisdom, the last of the 4 successive padas. Spiritual unfoldment, also called the marga, true path, God is our dearest beloved, implying transcendence of individuality and merger with the divine. The patavi is sayujya, union with God. Then we have the definition of sayujya from our lexicon. Becoming one with God, the state of perpetual Shiva consciousness. Simultaneous perception of the inner and the outer, a permanent state of oneness with Shiva, even in the midst of ordinary activities. The aftermath or plateau which comes after repeated self-realization experiences. Rishi Tirumandhiram says, Sayujya is a state of jagratita, the beyond consciousness. Sayujya is to abide forever in upasana, the peace that knows no understanding. Sayujya is to become Shiva himself. Sayujya is to experience the infinite power of inward bliss forever and ever. And Gurudeva's comment, in many Hindu schools of thought, it is the highest attainment. Dawns when the Kundalini resides coiled in the Sarasvara chakra. That's why it's permanent. For your sense of being identical with Shiva to be permanent, the Kundalini can't be going up and down into the Sarasvara. It has to reside there permanently. So that's a challenge to accomplish. Gurudeva talks about that in Merging with Shiva, chapter 49, the responsibility of enlightenment. The ultimate is to have the Kundalini coiled in the Sarasvara. I personally didn't manage that until 1968 or 69 when I had a series of powerful experiences of Kundalini in the Sarasvara. It took 20 years of constant daily practice of tough sadhanas and tapas. So that's an interesting point there. The popular conception is realizing the self, which in our tradition is Parashiva, is just done once. Then you have moksha. So Gurudeva is saying he had many, many experiences of realizing the self, but to stabilize himself where the Kundalini was permanently coiled in the Sarasvara chakra, which is the meaning of sayujya, took 20 years of sadhana for Gurudeva. And the final section is the conclusion. The final conclusions of the world's most ancient religious tradition, the Sanatana Dharma, are that mankind is on a spiritual path as old as time itself. That this journey progresses from birth to birth as the soul evolves through the perfection of charya into the perfection of kriya, from there into the perfection of yoga, emerging as a jnani. This is the path followed by all souls. Whatever religion they espouse, whatever they may believe or deny, all of mankind is on one path to truth. Then we get my favorite verse from Tirumandhiram, 1444. Being the life of life, Uyir is splendorous jnana worship. Beholding the light of life, Uyir is a great yoga worship. Giving life by invocation, Sadhya Puja, is external worship. Adoration that displaces anger is charya worship. So that's the one that is really important. We need to overcome anger. And this is saying one way to do that is we increase our devotion. And that devotion, increased devotion, let's say we have anger. So as we expand the devotion, it just pushes anger away, as long as we can remain in the state of devotion. And congratulations to everyone. We have finished stages of Saiva Siddhanta. And we'll have to find a new topic. Second topic, for next time, is answering questions sent into satsang@hindu.org. So this is a really wonderful question, but requires a long answer. What are the important goals of the Purusha in relationship to Lord Ganesha's box of Dharma and salvation from the abyss? But the question keeps going. Lord Murugan's transformation of ignorance to the divine. And Lord Shiva's something. I jumped ahead quickly before I read it. So I will start the answer with a description of the 8 Shaktis of His Majesty Lord Shiva, followed by a description of the 5 abysses. So we're just addressing the part of the first part, having to do with Ganesha, and reminding everyone what the 8 great Shaktis are and what the 5 abysses are. In fact, since we're a little ahead of time, why don't I ask that question? What are the 8 great Shaktis of Lord Shiva? First 5 of which are identical to Ganesha's 5 Shaktis. Give you a minute. See how many you can remember. 8 Shaktis. In case you can't plug into the terminology, the first one is harmony in the home. They're also called darshans. 8 great darshans, or 8 great Shaktis. They're vibrations of positive energy. Give you 30 more seconds. 8 great Shaktis. Okay, general comment on Shakti. Common symbolism is to depict the deity as the Lord Shiva. Try again. A common symbolism is to depict the deity, such as Lord Shiva, as male and the god's energy or Shakti as his spouse. God is everywhere seen as the beloved divine couple. Philosophically, however, the caution is always made that God and God's energy are one, and the metaphor of the inseparable divine couple only serves to illustrate this oneness. So this is Ardhanarishvara, which is showing the oneness of Shiva and Shakti. And those of you who are familiar with Gurudeva temple, this is the only form of Shakti in the temple, which is unusual. But it causes a teaching. Devotees ask, well, where's Shakti? We have Nataraja, where's the Shakti deity? So we say, oh, it's in the back right corner there. It's in the form of Ardhanarishvara. because in our Guru's teachings, Shakti is not separate from Shiva. It's a one being. Then we get the fire. An analogy that focuses on the energy aspect of Shakti is to think Shiva is the fire. Shakti is the heat of that fire. So that would be like the sun. The sun in the sky is Shiva, but the energy given off by the sun is Shakti. Each of the 8 Shaktis of God Shiva has a color. The first Shakti is yellow, the second is royal or sapphire blue. The ruby red third Shakti is beautiful to behold. Fourth is green, the emerald Shakti. The fifth, orange. The sixth, light blue. The seventh, lavender coming into purple, His Majesty's royal color. And the eighth is white, fading into colorlessness. These are similar to the colors that manifest in a rainbow. The first Shakti, yellow in color, emanates the feeling of love and compassion that the good person naturally has for his or her immediate family. Love and harmony within the nuclear family or joint family is most important to all Hindus. And the beautiful feeling when it exists is the first Shakti of the Lord. So this is trying to say everybody who lives in the home. Harmony among that group. Natural first group where harmony is needed. We need harmony there first before it can exist elsewhere. Second Shakti, sapphire blue in color, is the same feeling but extended to relatives, neighbors, and friends, all who are part of the extended family. This is more difficult to hold as inharmonious conditions often arise. These are called etheric forces which come between people, causing misunderstanding and upsets. Through prayers and through worship, the first Shakti can be extended beyond the circumference of the immediate family. The third Shakti, ruby red in color, is the same love extended to all persons one has dealings with in the external world. Business associates, a casual merchant, and the public at large. It is honest and harmonious relationships in conducting the business of trade and dealings in goods, finance, and the distribution of the wealth of the world. So a good way to mess that one up is to not pay your bills on time. Take on more debt than you can actually handle. Then you don't get past the third. You're not able to have the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth functioning if the third one is constantly upset. For Shakti, emerald green in color, brings through the creative, intuitive mind the love of culture and all that it brings, religious formalities, and the respect and appreciation of discipline. Here we find the vibration of religion, which brings as a boon creativity in music, art, drama, and the dance. It is through the fourth Shakti that religious practices are performed consistently. So this is the realm of culture and religion. An important aspect of life, more refined than just the first 3 Shaktis. Fifth Shakti, orange in color, extends into the wonderful feelings obtained by the outpouring of love of God Shiva and the gods of Shaivism. This gives the added boon of being able to be charitable. For those who love God, perform charity, build shrines and temples, and participate in the overflowing generosity of their abundance. Earning the good dharma, find merit accrued for this life and passed on to the next. And we keep going. Those are the 5 that Shiva shares with Ganesha. The 6th Shakti, light blue in color, is only felt in yogic meditation, when the crown of the head becomes the temple. Excuse me. The high-pitched E-tone ringing within it like a temple bell, and the kundalini awakened, the camphor light aglow. The sixth Shakti entrusted to Lord Murugan is that of yoga, the awakening of the Kundalini, which should never be vied for until the first 5 vibratory rates of the Lord have been maintained and are a natural part of one's life. In other words, there's a lot of inner force when the sixth Shakti is awakened, and if someone's not stable, it could end up in an outburst of serious anger and hurt somebody. So we don't want that. We need stability so that that force can be harnessed, not become negative. 7th Shakti, lavender in color, is the great ray of the giving forth of spiritual teachings from the brink of the Absolute, at which point Lord Shiva and his son Lord Murugan merge. This great Shakti is held by the rishis and the saints of our religion. Lord Murugan himself is the preceptor of all of our religion. The yogi, thus locked in his own yoke, finds himself seated on the 5th Shakti, supported by the lotus petals of the other 4. In his state of yoga, he then merges into jnana, and answers to the deepest philosophical questions come crystal clear as the 7th Shakti penetrates the Akashic ether of his mind. Oh, the great ray of the giving forth of spiritual teachings from the brink of the Absolute. A great sentence there. 7th Shakti. So it's teaching. In the concept of Swami Malai, Swaminathan, well as Dakshinamurti. So it's common to both Lord Shiva and Lord Murugan. 8th Shakti, white in color, is the outpouring power felt when mind collects itself, when it comes out of the self, Parashiva, and then forms into manifest knowledge, the 7th Shakti. 7th and 8th Shaktis are the Shiva Shakti, the great dance of creation. So this is a vibration even higher than knowledge. It's just pure spiritual energy, which has to become a bit grosser to turn into knowledge. These vibratory rays can be felt through your body, especially the first 5. They should always be with you. Lord Ganesha, Mahadeva, son of Shiva Shakti, is the governing Lord over these first 5 Shaktis, and in his multi-faced form is shown having 5 faces. Important to always worship Lord Ganesha first before worshiping Lord Murugan or Lord Shiva, for in doing so you acknowledge the mind, the universal mind, the existence of the 5 rays he is guardian of. And then he releases you, or the conscious and subconscious mind releases your awareness to your soul, so to speak. A little more obscure, the 6th and 7th Shaktis, Lord Murugan Mahadeva, son of Shiva, is the Lord of these 2 Shaktis, and in his multi-faced form is shown having 6 faces. Important to worship Lord Murugan before beginning the worship of Lord Shiva, as an awakened Kundalini is needed to reach into the extremely subtle inner realms in which Lord Shiva resides. Definition of Kundalini: she who is coiled, serpent power, primordial cosmic energy in every individual, which at first lies coiled like a serpent at the base of the spine, and eventually through the practice of yoga rises up to Sushumna Nadi. As it rises, the Kundalini awakens each successive chakra. Turning to the 8 Shaktis, the 8 Shakti of outpouring power felt when mind collects itself, when it comes out of the self, is that of God Shiva himself. Emanating out from the 8th Shakti come forth the other 7. So they're just grosser forms of the energy. In Gurudeva's teachings, he often stressed the importance of building a religious foundation, making manifest the first 5 Shaktis in your life through the worship of Lord Ganesha. Ganesha worship is the age-old religious pattern performed through eons of time, not uncommon too, but found in each of the 11 religions of the world, meaning major religions, and multitudes of faiths. The height of religious experience in many religions is to uphold the first 5 Shaktis, but Hinduism goes deeper, of course. And this is basically the extent of religion. For once religion is secured in one's life, yoga, finding the temple within, going into that temple, merging within the sanctum sanctorum with Supreme God Shiva, is the next and foremost natural unfoldment. So we'll stop there and save the abyss for next time. Thank you very